Hi, it's Carla and welcome to lesson 3 of Kids Art Week. Today we're going to make a collage with horses. But first we're going to make our collage papers. So let me tell you the supplies you need for the first part of this lesson. You're going to need some construction paper in lots of different colors. And you're going to need some kids non-toxic paint. This one happens to be from Home Depot. And the colors you need are red, blue, yellow, and white. You'll also need a large brush. You could even go larger than this, but a large flat brush is nice. If you have a small brush, the project will be harder. So make sure it's at least 1 inch big. Some water, a paper towel, and then I'm mixing my paint on a paper plate. This is just great because you can just toss it at the end of your painting session. So what I want you to do is pick out your 5 favorite colors. I have here a yellow, an orange, a green, a pink, and a blue. And the idea for painting these papers is we're going to pick a color that's really the same color, but just a little bit different. And the reason we're doing it is the eye loves to have texture to look at. And if we just made our collage with the construction paper, it would be good and fine, but this will give your papers just a little bit more interest. So I'm going to start with the yellow here, and I'm just going to test it and see if I can even see it. And I can see the difference. But just for fun, I think I'll just add in a little bit of blue. Maybe that was too much. To give it just a little more color. And then, I'll just go with the straight, the straight yellow because it just kind of disappeared. The idea is you don't need to paint the whole thing. You can let some of the paper from underneath show through. And that would be the first one. I don't even need to go on the edges because I'm going to be cutting out the middle. So there's that one. Next we have orange, and this one I have to mix because I don't have an orange paint. So red and yellow make orange. So I'm going to grab a little red over here. And red goes a long way. You really need a lot more yellow than red. I'm going to get a little water just to make it a little bit thinner. And now I'm going to do the same thing. And this is a good example of you can see the color of the paper underneath, but then you're also wanting a color that's close to it to be your main color. Don't forget, you're letting the brush get dry, and also don't forget to leave spaces in between. Okay. Green. Blue and yellow make green. Again, a little bit of blue and a lot more yellow. Okay. Now you might see a little orange get in there because it's left over on the brush. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. And once again, you just want to be able to see some of the paper shining through the brush strokes. I'm going to go to blue here because pink is using colors I haven't used before, but blue we have used, and I'm just going to rinse out my brush a little bit. And I think I can practically, I'm squeezing out some of the paint there, just go right into the blue here and see how that looks. Yeah, even if it's this close, it's fine. Okay, there's my blue one, and one more pink. I'm going to wipe out my brush really good now. Whoops. And this one is red and white because basically pink is a light red. So I'm going to use a little bit of red. I'm going to come over here in the white area and mix myself some pink. I'm going to add a little bit more red. Once again, you might get some yellow showing, you might get a little blue in there, but basically you're painting a layer of pink over the paper, making sure that you leave some paper showing through. We'll let these dry and then we'll go to the next step. So I've let my papers dry and I've gathered my supplies for the next part. And those are a big piece of paper, some markers, just water-soluble markers, kind of like Crayola markers. You need some wax crayons, just a few colors, a glue stick, some scissors, and optionally a plate. And I'll show you why in a minute. I love to go to famous artists and find ideas to make new art. And today we're going to do a piece about horses inspired by Marc Chagall, who is a painter working about 100 years ago. This is a book of drawings that he has done. And we're going to work on this one. This is called the merry-go-round. And we've made a bigger copy so you can see. But basically, we're going to make a painting not exactly like it. Remember in lesson 2, we kind of tried to make the bunny just like Albrecht Dürer's bunny. But this time, we're going to use Marc Chagall's piece of work as inspiration for our own artwork. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick elements out of this painting and put them in our own artwork, but then we're free to do whatever we want. And the elements we're going to pick are the 5 horses, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a horse head up here. So 5 horses, 1 merry-go-round, and a ladder. So those are the things that are going to go into our painting, or our collage, when we get to that point. But first we need to make our pieces. So we'll start with the ground of what we're going to be working on. Now this is a vertical, so I'm going to move these aside. We're going to use this in this direction, but I also want to go ahead and cut the paper so that it does have this arc. For some reason, this gives a really fun and unique element to this copy or this kind of painting. And to do that, you can do it freehand or you can use a plate and just kind of use it to help you with your half circle. And I'm going to cut that down right away. Just get it done. The next thing we're going to do is just scribble all over this. It would be fine to use it, put our collage papers on the white paper, but it's really nice to have just a little bit of something back there. So I'm just going to scribble. I don't even have any idea. It doesn't have to be anything. You can scribble little ones or big ones, but just use at least 4 colors. Whoops. At least 4 colors. And do try to go off the paper a little bit. And here's my 4th color. Okay, so that is the base of my painting. Next, I'm going to make my 5 horses, my merry-go-round, and my ladder. So I'm going to get my paper. And I know I'm going to have this kind of by my side. I kind of know how big to make things. It doesn't really matter. I know that I'm not going to make my horse as big as this whole piece of paper because I have to get 5 horses on this little sheet. So I'm going to kind of go smaller. I'm going to take one of my crayons, and I think the easiest way to do this horse is to do like the head, the ears, and then the body. And then we can cut that out, and we'll add the other legs in with our markers later. So I'm going to cut this out. And one tip about cutting is if you can kind of do a quick cut around your animal, and so you have less to cut around, it's a little easier to work with. can put this aside. I might need some of that later. And I'm going to cut my horse shape out. So there's horse number 1. I have to do 4 more of these, but let me show you how to do the merry-go-round. It's pretty easy. You pick a color that you think might be nice. Kind of just doesn't matter. I'm going to go with this pink. And you're going to cut kind of a rectangle or a square, maybe kind of a big square-ish. And then you want to make a rooftop. So pick a color that you think would look pretty on that, maybe green. And I'm going to draw it. And merry-go-rounds kind of go like this, right? And then maybe something like this. These also are carousels. So the painting or the drawing that we're working with is called the merry-go-round, but it's really a carousel, isn't it? Because it has a roof on top. So this is my carousel. And I'm going to draw some more horses. So I have 3 medium-sized horses here, and now I'm going to make 2 small ones to put so that they can go inside the carousel. And I want to make sure they're not pink because they're going to go on top of this pink. So I think I'll do a little yellow one here. Remember, body, head, and ears. And maybe I'll do one even tinier. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I've got 5 horses, I've got a carousel, and I need to put a ladder in here. I'm going to probably draw the ladder in instead of use the paper, so we'll leave that to the last one. But now I need to figure out which order I want to do it. If I want, I can use exactly the order that Marc Chagall used and put a big horse up here and the ladder here and 3 little horses there and the head. Oh, I forgot, I didn't do the head. Let's see. I'll just chop that one off and make that the head. Okay. So 5 horses, one of them is just the head. So I can do just exactly what he did or kind of close, or I can put this away, having looked at it, I got the ideas in my head, and then I'm going to rearrange them the way that looks nice to me. So first I'm going to try that and see if I can come up with something that looks really nice to me. One idea is to put the carousel way up. Let's see, the horses go on there. I have a horse head, maybe it can come off the side. I mean, that's kind of fun. Maybe I'll try it on the bottom and see if I like that. Maybe the head comes out of the carousel. I have my ones at the bottom, my little ones. Where does this guy go? Maybe these guys come off the top. Maybe I move him over a little bit. So remember, this is your collage. It's your idea based off of Marc Chagall's drawing. So we're using him as inspiration, and then you are going to play with the composition, which means the design or the placement of your collage pieces, and it's going to be totally yours. And the only person who knows how to do this in your collage is you. It's not your mom, not your dad, not me, it's you. So do what feels right. So I am kind of happy with this. I've separated my greens a little bit, my blues are separated. I'm going to start gluing down. So I get a piece of scratch paper here. my glue stick. And I'm just going to start with the easiest, and I'm leaving all these in place while I start with this horse head at the bottom. Try to get on all the edges and then a little bit on the inside. And I can't remember how I had it. Did I have it this way or this way? Kind of doesn't matter. It's what feels good right now, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it this way. Making sure your hands are nice and clean before you press down. Now I'm going to go with this guy. And again, the main thing you want to think about on gluing is just to make sure it gets on all the edges. Okay, so I'm putting my last horse in. And remember, carousels, they go up and down, so I'm going to put this horse a little higher up. And we have to put the ladder in, right? We have 5 horses. We have a carousel or a merry-go-round, and now we need a ladder. So where should I put the ladder? I'm going to grab one of my dark markers, and this would be like a black or a dark blue. And where would be a good place for a ladder? It doesn't need to make sense. In Chagall's piece, it came right out of this horse, their bigger horse. I think I'm going to make a ladder right here. Okay, and now all we have to do is add details with our dark marker, or start with our dark marker. So I have legs for my horsey, horse number 1, horse number 2. These can go off the edge. He can be kind of jumping up in the air maybe. I've got to put some eyes in here. I can add decorations with my other color markers. I'm going to keep working on this, and so I want you to start working on it. You're first going to paint your papers. Then you're going to make your background, your white background paper, curved. Then you're going to cut out your horses and your carousel. And then you're going to take your darker markers, add in a ladder and some legs and details, and then add whatever you like with your markers for the end. I can't wait to see what you do, and I'll see you in lesson 4.